I'm Amy, and I'm a Woobie. This is my first book. It's called Norman the Druid and His Missing Cauldron. But first, I have to tell you all the legal stuff. This is copyrighted, and all rights are reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise without prior written permission by the author, me. Now to Norman the Druid and his missing cauldron. Norman and Pamela live in a cottage by the river. Norman is a druid. A druid is someone who learns from the goddesses and gods so that he may share their wisdom with others. Through his teachings, others learn the ways of balance and respect for all of Mother Earth's realms. He knows all the old tales of heroes and how they faced their challenges. Pamela the owl is his familiar. She helps him see beyond his own sight and carries his messages to the other druids. Even during the day, when she sleeps, she helps him know what's happening in the forest and on the seas. Pamela is a very special owl and familiar. Brigit taught her how to talk to the other animals, soul to soul, so she could help heal and protect them. In one of his stories, Norman told us how long ago Pamela was a druidess who helped the great king bring peace to Iberia. When her life was done, she was given the choice to ascend with her dragon to live with the great spirits, or to return to Earth as a teacher. Although she would miss her soulmate very much, she was not yet ready to leave this realm. She knew there was more for her to do. When Brigit blessed Norman with the knowledge to heal with the plants of the earth, Pamela asked to be his guide and companion. But Brigit was not the only one who blessed Norman. Danu, the great mother goddess, gave him the power to control the winds and the seas. She charged him to be the guardian of Woobia and Hesperia's northern shore. She had her dragons bring him a magic cauldron from the land of in-between, so that he could stir up the seas and call the winds when the ships came. With the help of Pamela and the seagulls, Norman has kept the northern shore and Woobia safe for many centuries. Flying high above the seas, the gulls watched for the sails on the horizon. When they saw them, they would call to Pamela, and what Pamela knew, so did Norman. When the red and white sails crossed the seas, Norman filled his cauldron from the river and lit a fire beneath it. He stirred his cauldron, and the seas would churn. A wave of his hand brought the winds and the lightning. If the invaders turned back, calm winds would carry them home. However, if they stayed on course, the winds turned them westward, or the sea took them to the bottom, where the dagger carried them to the summer lands. When Norman had received the cauldron, it was very powerful. It had been made by the dragons and blessed by all the goddesses. Now, after all the centuries of magic, the special iron had weakened. It took longer and longer for Norman to raise the energy to stir the winds and awaken the seas. One morning, the gull sent the message that there were ships on the horizon. With a swift wind and full sails, they would be in sight of the beach by sunset. Surprised, Norman ran from his cottage. Normally the gulls gave him at least 2 days' notice. He would have to work hard and fast to turn them back. Norman worked around. His cauldron was gone. Frantically he called, "Pamela, Pamela, come quickly. The cauldron is missing." Sleepily, she flew out of the cottage and perched on the roof. "It was here when I returned," she told him. "Look, there are fresh drag marks that lead into the forest. I must have it by noon, or the ships will be too close for me to awaken the seas and call the winds." "Then let us be off." Pamela leaped into flight. "Follow me. I will show you the way. We will find the cauldron with time to spare." She called ahead in the old tongue that Norman did not yet understand. Feeling very confused, he watched her fly away. Pamela had never before excluded him from the messages she sent to the others. But now was not the time to question. The cauldron had to be found for Woobia and the northern shore to be safe. He followed as quickly as his old legs could carry him. When he caught up with Pamela, she was flying among the tall trees, speaking with Wilma the forest diva. She had been reading to the young trees from the Book of Wisdom, so that they would be able to understand the ways of her ancestors. As a forest diva, Wilma not only helped them grow strong and tall, but also taught them the ways of the goddess. The trees of the forest are guardians of life. Within trees live the old souls whose unconditional love is boundless. They breathe for the world. Their branches give shelter. Their roots secure the earth. Through them others find food and wine. Wilma, have you seen my cauldron? Norman breathlessly asked. It is gone, and I must call the storms. I'm sorry, Norman. Wilma shook her head. I've been here all morning. You must have seen it. The Dwagmarts lead here. Norman pointed to the ground. Those were here when I came to read you the saplings. She pointed off into the forest. They go towards the Outerling village. Maybe D.W. will know. I will fly ahead, Pamela called down. I'll tell them that you are coming. Without another word, she flew off, leaving Norman behind. Sighing, he didn't understand. Why would anyone take his cauldron? Everyone knew how important it was to protecting Woobia and the northern shore. He continued down the path. D.W. McKay was waiting for him at the edge of the Outerling village. Have you seen my cauldron? Norman asked. It's gone. Northern sails are on the horizon. I need it to call the winds and raise the seas. D.W. thought. It seems I did hear something. I was in my garden tending my mushrooms. It was like a dragging sound. That was it! Norman pointed to the ground. I followed them here. Yep, then my Dwagmarks are right. Did you see who had it? Nope. D.W. shook his head. Sorry, but it looks like they head off towards the citrine. Maybe Aaron and Missy have seen it. Thank you, D.W. Norman wanted to ask him if the Outerlings would have the mushroom spores ready for the fairies to spread, but there wasn't time. Anytime, Norman. You needn't worry. It's going to be all right. With a wink and a smile, D.W. returned to his garden. Too worried to think about Pamela's words of comfort or the strange tone in his voice, Norman called to Pamela. She flew back and circled him. Norman, have you found the cauldron? No. The Dwagmarts lead to the cistrine. I'm going there. I'll fly ahead and tell the divas you're coming. I would much prefer that you fly to the dragon castle and tell them what has happened. They must be prepared to defend the northern shore. They cannot. Pamela continued to circle. It's against Goddess Brigit's rules. You know that. That's why they gave you the cauldron. Pamela, I know. But the cauldron is missing, and there are sails on the horizon. I will ask them, Pamela conceded. But do not expect them. You must think of another way. Quickly she flew toward the castle on the hill.